Um pouquinho. A Helena está dizendo que está esperando o moderador deixar entrar.
O moderador é a Bianca, né?
Ela disse que está esperando a autorização.
Comigo aconteceu isso também. Eu tentei a primeira vez, ela não estava autorizada. Eu pedi
Eu também.
falaste para ela fazer isso.
Eu pedi para ela fazer isso agora.
Tu tá com o WhatsApp dela? Não.
Não, eu tô falando com ela por Skype, na verdade.
No Skype, tá?
É o universo não querendo que eu apresente de novo.
Não. Então,
Tá, hoje tem que dar certo, pelo amor de Deus. Será que deu certo agora? Ela tá tendo o mesmo problema. Será que tem algo que dê pra fazer? Okay, now it's we can start.
is recording,
Okay.
Okay.
Let me ask, just to be sure. But she told us we can start, so hopefully it's recording.
Okay.
Okay.
Bem, good afternoon and good evening, everyone. Good evening for the ones that no, actually, good morning. You're not in Holland, you're not in the Netherlands, and you are in the US. So it's probably in the morning there. First I would like to thank you very, very much for being here again for this pre-defense dissertation. Aline Marcon will be presenting her to enable her to finish her dissertation over the next 3 months. Okay, so you have some 20-25 minutes to do your presentation, and after that we'll go through some questions and comments from the other participants. Okay, so the word is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll share my screen here. Maybe if you have a bad connection, let me know, then I can turn off my camera. But for now, I'll let it turn on. Okay. Okay. Are you all seeing my screen? Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, as Professor Fernando just said, thank you so much for coming here one more time. Hopefully this time everything's gonna be all right. So today I'll be presenting part of my research that is to investigate a new multimodal database to assess the effect of a new metro line on the use of bicycle as a feeder mode to urban public transit in Amsterdam region. So nowadays, if you simulate a route in Google Maps in your phone, you have this option. It is the combination of bicycle and the public transit. And if you note, it's in terms of time, it's very competitive to the use of car. This simulation was done in the city of Delft, from the university there to De Lier, that is a small municipality really close to Delft, is about 15 kilometers. And we can see also that the cycle distance is really short. It's like 2.5 kilometers. It's about 10 minutes, maybe less, depending on the speed you are cycling. So it's really feasible. However, we all know that even in the Netherlands, that is the bicycle country, it was not like these things forever. So going a little bit back on time, right after the Second World War, we have a lot of cars coming up, and the car was the main transport mode in the country. In the 70s, however, people started realizing that the number of children being killed because of car accidents were really high. And also, in this same period, the world faced an oil crisis. So it was really expensive to keep using your car. Together with that, people started asking for including bicycle in the urban planning. And nowadays, in the Netherlands, the population is about 17 million people, and they share this space with almost 23 million bicycles. And you can understand this difference, the fact that there is more bicycle than people, when you see this, which is a map that represents the cycle paths in the Netherlands. And this is how your country looks like when you have 35,000 kilometers of cycle paths. Today, we'll be focusing more specifically in Amsterdam region. And to make it more clear, so you can understand this research, we need to go a little bit back, a little bit back on time to 2018, when we had a big modification, a big change on the network. So previously, we had a radio metro network in the city, in this region, and this is Amsterdam Central. And here, after 2018, we had the implementation of a new metro line connecting the south of Amsterdam to the north. And it changed the way the network was composed. So now we have a fishbone metro network there. And it changed, of course, the way people use the public transit there and how they access it. So today I'll be talking about the research objectives, the research contributions, also about the methodology I'll be using to accomplish my objectives here, and the following steps. So this research is based mainly in 3 points. So we have the MobDot database, which is a new multimodal database. We have this north-south line, this new metro line in the center of Amsterdam. And we also have this aspect that we want to explore, that is using bike as a feeder mode to public transit. So together, putting these all three together, we have two main objectives here. The first one is to study and to analyze this MobDot database and study how it can go to our idea of using bike as a feeder mode to PT. The second one is then to understand why and how people use bikes to access the public transit in terms of distance, waiting time, facilities, infrastructure, and of course, what was the impact of this new metro line on the use of bike as a feeder mode. It's important to highlight here that we'll be focusing also in the BTM stations. It means bus, tram, and metro stations. I'll explain later why we won't work with trains, for example. So from these objectives, we will get at least three main contributions. The first one is reporting the potential of this MobDot database, because it's really a new database and it has just a few works on it. So we need to know what is inside and what we can do with that. The second one is reducing the gap of research in terms of bike and urban public transport, because today we have a lot of studies regarding bicycle and the combination with the public transport. However, it's more related to long distance trips, not the urban, not inside the city. And the third one, we'll be studying also the public policies and how they can change it, how they can motivate people to use more bikes and more public transport. So how we can do this? The first step is to clean the database and to use only the data that is interesting for our study, like from Amsterdam, because the raw database includes also some records outside the Netherlands, and all these needed to be deleted. Then we conduct a statistic analysis using all the records we have, and then we analyze these results, these descriptive statistics, to understand what's going on before going to the next steps, before using a mathematical model to analyze the cyclist's behavior. So in order to analyze the cyclist's behavior, we then need to prepare a secondary database that I will also be explaining to you further, and then use a model that we already concluded which one will be. And this is for you to have an idea how MobDot looks like. So inside it, we have some variables like starting time, ending time, the date that the person used the public transit. We have the location, so we have the latitude and longitude. We have the modality that person used, and also the bicycle distance, car distance, walking distance, and where also they alight the public transit. Our records are like these. They have this structure. We separated them in 4 periods. So we'll be analyzing the period before the NSL, the north-south line. We'll be analyzing a period shortly after and right after, so it's in the middle, and exactly 1 year after. So we have the possibility of analyzing the behavior of these cyclists exactly in the same period of the year, but 1 year after, just to see what changed. So, to understand how we treat the bicycle in this research, there is 2 different ways to use bikes. The first one is as a standalone mode, bike to go from origin point to your destination. And the second way is using it as a feeder mode. So you leave your origin point, you go to a public transit, and you continue to your destination using maybe the public transit, or maybe in the end you can walk a little bit. But the point is, use the bike to access a public vehicle. And our database works basically like this. So we have in all of our records, we have an access, public transport, and an egress. It can happen that we have more than one access in a record, but at least one we have and one egress and one public transit. So it's also important to highlight here that all of our records have at least one piece of them made by bike. So one access or one egress or maybe 2 accesses made by bike at least. And it works like this. So for example, someone take a bike to access the train, and they can leave by walking or by car, it doesn't matter. Or people can access the metro by walking, then takes the bus, and then can walk again, then go to the metro again, and then leave with the bike. This is the example I just told you, that we can have more than one access, but at least one of them, at least one access or one egress must be with bike. In this research, however, we'll be treating only the first one, only the first access. It doesn't matter what was the egress mode for now, and not what was the second access, for example. And here we start with the mob dot analysis. This is how our records are divided. So we have the most of our trips, about 70%, only in the region of Amsterdam. So the origin and destination is in Amsterdam. And we have here like 18% of trips starting in Amsterdam but ending in another municipality. And only 11% here that starts in another municipality. So we'll be working only with the trips that has origin in Amsterdam. And this is just a way to see how and when the records were taken. So it's well distributed between time. And we couldn't see any really considerable difference between off-peak hours and on-peak hours. And here we can see that only considering the trips that started in Amsterdam, of course, as I just told you, and we can see to where these access were made and from where these egress were made. So the green one is tram, the red one is metro, and the yellow one is bus. Well, we won't use the train here, we won't consider, because train is normally used to long distance travels. So as I told you before, we will be studying only the urban transportation. And here we have something similar to the last chart. However, it shows you how the access to the bus, to the tram, and to the metro were made. So we have that the major part of the records shows that all the access are made by bike. Okay, we need to consider that all of our records have at least one point using bike, so at least one access or egress. So maybe this doesn't represent the reality, but it's important for us to know what we are studying. So this is what we have. And here we have only the bicycle as access mode. So we are not considering walking or car here. So we have that people use bicycle mainly to access the metro. It happens before the NSL and also 1 year after. However, we can see that there is a huge increase here on the number of bicycles to access the metro. And here, it's an interesting analysis because we are considering only the users who has used Sesamo. Sesamo is the app to record things to the Mob.dot database. So we have the records here only from the people who use it before the NSL, and also have these records to 1 year after the NSL. So we can see the behavior of these people. It's not a large number of people. It's about 20, 30 people that use it before and after. But we can see that there is a huge increase here in the number of those people using now the metro. Because, of course, with this new metro line, the quality of transport public has increased a lot. And here, some analysis regarding the distance and the period to access each of these three transport modes. And here in the metro, we can note that before and after, there is a slightly increasing on the distance that people are willing to cycle to access the metro, which is really interesting because maybe because of the quality of the metro, people are now more motivated to cycle a little bit more and use a better way of transportation. And here we have the same, also basically the same analysis, but it's the bicycle to access each of these modes, and we have before and after. So right before the NSL and 1 year after. And here we have a better comparison of this distance that people are willing to cycle, but it's in a better way, easier way to see. And here we also have this box plot to show you the waiting time. So we can also see that the same comparison in the metro before and after. We also can see that people are now willing to wait a little bit more to take the metro than if they were like before the NSL. We believe that it's the same for the same reason, because now the quality of the service is better, so they think it's worth it. They think it's worth to wait a little bit more and then maybe travel in less time than taking a bus or a tram. So to end this presentation, we need to talk a little bit about the model to access the cyclist behaviors. So the plan is to use a non-stochastic model together with the stochastic model and compare both results and combine them. So how we will do this? So today, what is in blue represents the record we have in Mobidocs database. And today we have, for example, that one person, the user number 1, chose to use the tram. They access the tram by bicycle, but we don't know, okay, they could have chosen the bus or the metro, but we don't know why they did not. So the first step here is, in order to understand why someone chose the option A, let's say tram, for example, it's important to understand why this person didn't choose the bus or the metro. So we'll be generating these records, the possibility of using bus or metro, and we can then analyze the time, the difference of the time, the distance to the station, maybe from the origin point of the user, and other aspects to understand why that person in that moment chose to use the tram instead of other modes. And all these generated modes, the generated records, they are real. They correspond to the reality. So we will be using a real time for the bus, a real time for the metro. And this is some of our variables that we will be using. And the plan is to use 3 binary models to understand this behavior. And these are the next step. So we are planning on finishing these in 2 months. So we need a time until the end of February, maybe, to end and to accomplish the objective two, and preparing the database for that. And then in March, we plan to apply and compare the models. And then we'll have some time to analyze and to interpret the results. In April, then we plan on doing the final presentation. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching this again.
Okay, Aline, thank you for your presentation. And well, the second part of this presentation is to hear the comments and criticism from the other participants. I'll start with Elena Dugunci. Yeah, I'm not sure if my pronunciation is good. From the Vrije University of Amsterdam. Please, Elena, you're free to make your comments and suggestions and so forth.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to give my very great compliments to you, Alina. I thought your introduction to this problem was really, really well. I liked, and also the time that you took to make animations and explain the history of bicycles in the Netherlands is absolutely perfect. It shows that you really understood the problem very well. I also really enjoyed your initial data analysis. That looks very promising. So both your graphics, where you've shown that the role that the metro played with regard to distance and with regard to waiting time, you see a change incrementally over the period. And I thought this is also very promising. So it seems like you can really use this data to do something very interesting, which the municipality will be very interested in. So I would like to give my great compliments to you on this part of this presentation, and would also like to invite you to directly hereby to give the same presentation with our group, because I think, as you know, and also we talked with Professor Niels van Oort at TU Delft. Some other of our students are also analyzing this Mobi.dot database. And similar, complementary synergistic questions, different questions, but related. So the question of bicycle to car behavior and bicycle to the long distance transit, which is entirely complementary and synergistic with the work that you're doing on the bicycle to the local transit within Amsterdam. So I think some of the other students in our group can be very interested in your work. So I'd hereby like to extend this invitation, and also to Professor Seabra, Professor Enzo, if you would like to join, you're also welcome.
Nice, thank you.
That said, so now I have one question for you, and then I have one comment. So maybe just a kind of an advice going forward. So the question was, in your results for waiting time, for example, if you want to pull those up.
Yes, sorry, I'll share it again. Just a second. I closed it. Can you see my screen?
I see the conference web. I see just a blue page. It's. I see it's loading now. Yes, I see your screen. Yes.
You see it? Okay.
Yeah.
I can put in presentation mode. Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, the wrong button.
This just really beautiful. You understood. You could explain the Dutch just perfectly. This is all just really beautiful. I just emphasize it as I'm seeing it all going again. This is really well prepared, very clear, very nice understanding of your problem and your research design. Just really nice. Really nice. This is half the work, is getting a good research design and understanding the problem. Okay, so now here I have this question, and we talked about it before, but maybe it's nice for you also to answer this question, maybe for Professor Enzo, Professor Fernando. So you see the right after has a very different behavior, and can you give us some examples of why the right after may not be very reliable? Some plausible hypotheses.
Yeah, sure. So, if first of all, maybe if we go back to the beginning of the presentation, just a second. Here. So, I would say the first reason could be the number of records that we have, because if we see here, for the period before the NSL, we have about 600 records, and also for the period shortly after and 1 year after, we have about the same. However, if we note here in the right after, we have less than 200. So this could be a reason for that, because we don't have a representative number of records to explain these. To explain these. So for example, here we have just a few records compared to the others, and maybe it does not represent the real situation. Maybe it's not enough. So we also discussed about it, maybe focusing more on the period shortly after and not only on the right after, because it's more comparable to the others. We have also other reasons for that. The second one, let's say, could be like, okay, it's the period right after the implementation of the NSL, so maybe some people are kind of lost and they don't know what to do yet, or what they can use it, what mode, and maybe it's like a lack of information, and then they are, okay, should I use the bus or the metro, and it turns out we get this. Another reason could be the period of the year, because this right after period is like a period of a holiday in the Netherlands, right?
Mhm.
And so we don't have people that are using these the bus or the metro or the train to go to work. So it changes the public using those modes. So this could be like some reasons for that to happen.
Mhm.
And we will check it better during the model analysis. But probably we will be considering only the period before, shortly after, and 1 year after for our model. Probably. We still don't know it yet. And it's really good to know, to talk about it, because the more comparable thing we have is, of course, the period before and 1 year after, because it's exactly the same period of the year. It's between June and July. So these two here, they are the most comparable between those four. But we will be considering also the shortly after to analyze this transition. Did I answer your question?
Very clearly, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
Okay,
Excellent.
good.
Excellent understanding of your data. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, and I just had one comment, and that was on the part to come still. If you can go to your, yes, this part. I'm wondering, this is very ambitious. So I just would make a, depending on your available time, for me, it would be also fine to only focus on the logit models.
Okay.
If you have time, you could also do the neural network, and we've done quite a bit of work with neural networks with students, but it may be too much for one thesis, given the time you have. So, for example, I can send you, and also Professor Fernando, a thesis which we've done for someone who did a comparison of a logit with a neural network. But this was someone who had 6 months for the research phase after the research design was approved. So he had a much longer time frame. So it is possible, but it would definitely be very interesting, but it may be a lot if you plan to wrap up within 2 months. So I just mention it as a just as a point to have expectations, not to make yourself crazy. Of time, and also to tell you a work that's studying the stochastic model only is also a very fine master's thesis, and we've also I can also send you some other theses which are only looking at the stochastic model, and it's also fine. And we also have theses that only work on the neural net and don't do the stochastic. So both are possible. I can send you examples of both, but to do both requires, it's certainly possible with this data, is very well suited for this. But I'm just concerned you have maybe a shortage of time. So I just wanted to mention that, so that at the end of the road, people are not disappointed, because one or the other is very fine and is very suitable for a master's thesis, and both is even better, but maybe there's not enough time. That's all.
Yeah, you're right. We can talk about it better, and maybe
exactly as we go along, because maybe it goes very quickly. It all happens. It's difficult to see what kind of in advance what kind of complications you're going to find in the data, and maybe you're lucky, and maybe it all goes very smooth. Then maybe it's possible. But just to not have you feel frustrated, because there can be all kinds of things you discover in the data that just take time to clean, and the cleaning is done, but take time to analyze is what I meant to say, to really understand what's going on.
True. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Beautiful, really a beautiful work, very nice design, very well explained, excellent work, I can just say, from my perspective. and very good understanding of the Dutch situation. It's remarkable.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Elena, for your remarks. I'll ask Professor Enzo now from the Production Systems Engineering here at Federal University of Santa Catarina to make his comments, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Seabra. Thank you, Aline, for a very interesting presentation. It is really remarkable how the work evolved since last time that we discussed it. I think this is really remarkable, as mentioned by Elena. And what else I could say, apart from what I already said in the previous comments I did regarding your work. This is what puzzles me right now. I think, indeed, it's a very interesting problem, and it is a problem that will can be also translated to other transportation systems. For me, the most important and interesting thing is how this can affect the choice of the users. Really, this new infrastructure is changing even the willingness to wait. This is, in my point of view, based on the service level. Could you make some comments on what you see about this? Why the users change their mind in terms of willingness to wait because of this new infrastructure?
Yes. Actually, in the beginning, I had planned to talk about it and I forgot. I'm sorry. But I had planned to talk that this is a problem focused on the Netherlands, but the idea is exactly to understand why people choose to cycle to a bus stop or tram or metro, and maybe to apply also to other countries, to other places in the world, not only in the Netherlands. And there is also a project, like, it's not like this, but it's more like let's increase the use of bicycles in Paris, and it's getting really good because they are improving the infrastructure. So people like to cycle generally, as we have been studying here, and they are willing to choose to cycle to a bus stop if they have the right infrastructure for that. Not only bus, I mean the BTM. Because when you have the right conditions, for example, if you have a good infrastructure to arrive to the station, or if you have a good parking there, that you can leave your bike safely, and if you have the conditions also regarding the weather, so if you have, let's say, not to cycle a lot, for example, more than 2.5 kilometers, it's fine. So people are willing for that to avoid, for example, a traffic or spending more money. This happens in the Netherlands and also in Paris, that I already mentioned. And people want that. People want to be more free of traffic mainly, and to avoid spending a lot of money. And the idea of this research is exactly to understand why people do this. People choose to change between a car to ride a bike to a PT station. And I believe the quality, as you asked it, I believe the quality of service, for example, if it's a reliable system. So if you know that if you take your bike here at 2 o'clock and you need to arrive at your job 2.5, let's say, you need to be sure that if you arrive at the station at 2:10, let's say, the metro or the tram will be there already waiting for you, and they will leave by the time that was planned. This is, in my opinion, one of the main conditions that that a public transit company must give you. And this, well, we have this problem in Brazil because it doesn't work like this. So if you want to take a bus, you probably won't because you can't trust the time. Maybe you arrive at the bus stop and they will be there already, or maybe not. Maybe it will be late 10 minutes or maybe half an hour. So you don't trust the system. And
it's improving recently. It's improving.
Yeah, it's improving. I know, really, but it is good. But I mean, this, for me, in my opinion, this is one of the main conditions to give to the people, and then they start willing to use it. So they prefer to change between car and to use the public transit. In my opinion, it's something like this,
okay,
like giving people the conditions.
Thank you, Aline. It really stands out your knowledge regarding the topic. This is something indicating that you are almost done, almost ready for the finalization of your master research. And this comes then to my second comment. This leads to my second comment. I would recommend that you keep it simple. Like Elena said, avoid traps, like taking ways that would lead you to a very long way until the end. You should right now consider the time you have. This comment is again the same. It's similar to the one that I did in the past. You should keep it simple in a way that you will be able to finish in the available time, because the scope of your research is more than enough for a master thesis in Brazil. So I would recommend that you keep it simple when go to the final line. I think your advisor agrees with me.
Yes, sure. I'm sure they do. Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much. Is my answer clear to your question? I didn't ask.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I'm satisfied with your both answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
These were my comments right now. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Okay, thank you, Enzo, as well. Usually the advisor that doesn't make any comments or questions. I just want to stress out that both Enzo and Elena pointed out that we should keep it simple. I believe the next step that you have after you examine the database is the model. And we had the intention to have this comparison between the stochastic and the non-stochastic model, but I think both commentators are right that we should probably stick with one model that instead of comparing two methodologies, will be more interested in explaining the data or through the model application. So probably we have to think about that, but I believe that this is a good advice, especially considering that time is running out according to your plans. Okay, so the next step is that we decide about your qualification results. And then I guess either you or us, we have to leave the room. And Bianca, I think, helped us with that. Né? Bianca, tu pode nos ajudar com relação a isso? Is she with us?
I think so. Bianca?
I believe there's a way that you go out and we stay and we decide and afterwards we call you back.
Yes. If she doesn't answer in the next 30 seconds, I can close the window and come back maybe. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if this is possible. Where is she?
Can you send her a message?
Yes.
I think maybe a message. She'll reply a message.
Let me send her a message here.
I think the easiest way would be if Aline leaves and then waits until we provide her a green light to come back. I think it would be fine.
Yeah, but should I close the window here or what?
The only trouble is that I don't know if all this discussion that we'll have will be recorded later. So
we could enter another room, like
but we can do that. But I think that this system provides
okay, really, it provides. I know it provides. I don't know how, but it provides.
Yeah, and I don't know how either, because actually this is with her. Okay.
She answered me in the WhatsApp. Oh, she answered in no. Okay.
So we enter this sala de apoio. We all, except you, Raíssa.
I think so. I don't have this invitation here, so maybe it's just for you.
Ok. Enzo, tu tens esse convite para entrar na sala de apoio?
Okay. Yes.
So, Helena, are you also in a different screen with saying that sala de apoio, which is
I am entering the sala de apoio right now.
Okay, so am I.
Helena, you need to enter in this new room. Yes, exactly. You can enter on this breakout room.
Okay, I'm back. I don't know if they're back as well.
Eu tô ainda aqui. Acho que não. Ok.
Okay, we are back. At least I am.
Eu acho que a Helena ainda não voltou.
Tá.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, Helena is
Is here.
All right, and then after a long debate, I'm just kidding. No, after some discussion, we decided that your qualification has been approved. Congratulations. And then you were able to continue your research towards your final dissertation. Okay, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We'll be working together with Elena and Professor Niels as well, towards a good result, hopefully, or sure.
Yes.
Congratulations, I'm available for the final defense. If you think I'm a suitable candidate for the final.
Perfect, very, very, very good. We'll be counting on you, Enzo, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Professor Seabra, also, of course.
Okay then.
Just to echo also Professor Enzo's comments, wonderful work, and looking forward also to continuing together with you all, Professor Fernando, also Niels. Wonderful, very nice.
Thank you very much, you all.
Okay, happy carnival and stay safe.
You too.
Bye, Enzo.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Soon, 2 months. Ciao.
2 months. Yes. See you.
Can you, não preciso falar inglês, mas tem que pedir para Bianca daí parar de gravar, é isso, Bianca? Eu não sei se ela nos ouve, acho que ela fica mais no chat, né?
Bianca?
Ela parou de gravar, será? Não estou acompanhando ali.
Eu nem sei onde que gravou, não.
Não, mas ela não está respondendo a gente, será, né?
Tá, agora